Hi, this is the fourth video in the Losing Amelie series. The date is the 22nd of May, 2019. I just want to start by correcting something and also adding a couple of things from the previous videos that I was chatting to Bex about, and she sort of corrected me on one thing and then said there was a few bits to add. So the first thing was Amelie used to wear, I said that she wore this like sleeping bag suit thing. I did put her in it, but we actually took her out of that night, so she just had her pajamas on. We took her out because it was too hot. So yeah, that's one thing. Yeah, Bex said, so there was this night in particular before she went to bed. So I gave her a bottle, and then she kissed her mum and then me goodnight, and then my mum, and she kept doing it back and forth. And like, I don't know, Bex thought that was sort of significant. It was you know, it's quite a funny little thing that she kept doing it. But yeah, just thought I'd share that. And Bex also said when she went to call 999, she couldn't figure out how to use her phone, and I remember that now. There was a bit of a delay on stuff because she was like, couldn't unlock it or didn't know what to do, just in a complete panic. And also, I didn't know this, but Bex said around 9 p.m. So the last time we heard Amelie say anything was over the monitor, that's correct. But Bex also heard her say something around 9 p.m. On the monitor, which was Baba, which is what she called a little toy sheep that was one of her comfort items that she had when she went to bed. And so she thinks she grabbed it and pulled it towards her. So yeah, that was just a couple of little bits to add in. But yeah, so this video, picking up from the last one, so we arrive at the at the hospital. Immediately go into this I think it was called a family room, quite a small room with a couple of seats in it, and we were in there for about 2 minutes or so, maybe even less, and I think a nurse came and got us and said, you know, come with me or whatever. So we then this was in the pediatric A&E. And there were it was like a long corridor with bays either side of it, and we were the room that we entered in was at one end of the corridor, sort of just to the right. And Amelie was in, from our perspective, third bay from the right. So basically followed her there, and I remember while we were walking there were like two groups of people that were like nurses and doctors, that I think they were, well, at the time I just thought, oh, there's a group of people stood there, and everyone was silent as we walked by. You could see a couple of people were crying. And it occurred to me afterwards that they were there, like they're prepared to try and save her life, you know, like they knew that a young toddler was coming in, and obviously when she got there she was dead. So I think it hit a lot of people quite hard actually at the hospital. But yeah, but I didn't put that together at the time. Anyway, so we go into this this bay. Amelie's laying on the bed, and where they had tried to resuscitate her in the ambulance, she had like a couple of tubes out of her mouth. She had a couple of like stickers on her chest. And so we walked in, and there were a few chairs, or a couple of chairs, this one side of the bed next to Amelie, and then the other side of the bed stood the doctor, who was the pediatric consultant, and a nurse. And that was when the doctor then proceeded to tell us that Amelie was dead. It was like an official announcement. I assume it's some sort of protocol they have to follow. You know, and the guy you could tell he found it very hard. His chin was like quivering before he even started. He's very softly spoken, but he's generally a softly spoken guy, because we spoke to him since. He was very quiet, spoke very, very clearly and slowly, and yeah, so he obviously didn't just say she's dead. He sort of apologised and shared his condolences, and then Bex asked if she could hold Amelie, and he said, yeah, that's no problem. So Bex held Amelie and was like, Bex was sat down holding Amelie. I stayed stood up, and we then asked about Amelie's health in the days leading up to that day, and particularly the previous 24 hours. And I won't go into all of that now, but I will share that. But I just want to tell the story of what's, the things that happened rather than the actual detail of what we said, because I think it would just take too long, and I don't want to go off topic too much. But yeah, so they were asking questions about, did we see any signs and all this sort of stuff, and they gave Bex a form to fill out, or a couple of forms to fill out. I wanted our address, the nursery that she's in, any significant locations in the past, I think, 3 days. And then I held Amelie, so I was like, oh, I'll take her. So I picked her up, and she was like I sort of said before, she was very long, so she was still very long, she was like stiff, and I had her head here, and it was like she was cold, colder than before, and I just sort of held her, and I remember I turned away from the, because I wasn't actually saying much. That was, oh yeah, sorry, something quite significant. That was the first point in the whole thing that I burst into tears. I cried. No, I'm not, well, I wasn't much of a crier. Like, I think prior to that instance, in the previous sort of 15 years or so, I probably cried once or twice. I don't really cry. But yeah, so obviously Bex was as well, and yeah, so that, but it wasn't until then that I cried. Like, I think I can sort of remember the police car sort of fighting back tears, but I remember all the time that I wanted, that I was still hopeful Amelie was going to live. I didn't lose control. There was something to do. I had to focus on something. I had to make sure that she was like, well, okay, or what, I don't know. I had to try, I think. I don't really know how to put it, but I didn't cry until the doctor said, yeah, she's gone. And and that was sort of then the realization of her being gone started to sink in. That took a while. I kept sort of having weird thoughts of like, oh, she's, not that she's still here, but like it hadn't dawned on me that she was completely gone and we wouldn't see her again, and it was really weird. But yeah, so I then held her. I turned my back or my side to everyone, and I was sort of whispering to Amelie. I can't remember exactly what I was saying. I remember I was singing like a song to her that she liked, just very very under my breath sort of thing, and I spent a lot of time swaying her because I used to do that quite a lot. Anyway, so yeah, I remember doing that. And then I remember I was also like apologising to her a bit, but not much. And then just telling her that that I loved her, and then started thinking about the stuff that we were gonna miss out on. To like things you never got to do, or would never get to do. So things just like school, sport, films, pets, wedding. That was something that came into my head as I was dancing. I was holding her. I thought, you're never going to get married. So yeah, I don't know, but that's the stuff I thought about that time. And then I thought, I've been holding her too long. because Bex had been talking all this time. And I asked Bex, well, I handed her back to Bex, but Bex actually at that point didn't want to hold her. And I think Bex, maybe during that time, I don't know, but Bex, she came to the realization, or the no, not the realization, but she thought, well, that's not Amelie. Amelie's gone. This is her body. And she didn't hold as much, I was going to say value, but I don't want to say it wrong, but she wasn't as concerned with her body anymore, or you know, like going to see her in the days after that. Bex never wanted to. So yeah, that was the last time Bex held her. Anyway, yeah, I gave it to Bex, and then Bex put her back on the bed. I remember thinking, oh, I'll have her again. And then my arms killed, because I didn't realise, but I'd held her so long, like all the lactic acid had built up in my arms, and there was like throbbing. And I actually had to lift my arms over my head, and I was stood there like that in the room while everyone was talking, because it actually hurt so much. So yeah, I don't think anything of significance happened after that. So the doctor then introduced us to the nurse that was stood with it. He probably said her name before that, but you know, I remember him specifically saying her name was Charlotte, and she was going to be looking after us for the rest of the time we were there, and Charlotte was going to explain everything. So I'll end the video here because it's now at 12 minutes, but what I'll do is I'll pick up from what was then said, and what sort of then transpired and what happened. So yeah, thanks.